February 14th, 2026, former President Barack Obama sat down with journalist Brian Tyler Cohen on the No Lie podcast.
I want to do a little bit of a lightning round here because it's not often I'll get access to the President of the United States. So a couple questions here. Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it?
Area 51?
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy and they hid it from the President of the United States.
What was the first question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Where are the aliens? Is there a person that you most want to meet that you haven't met yet?
I'll be honest with you. Being president, or even being an ex-president, I can kind of meet everybody. So I've met a lot of folks.
Yeah.
About 24 hours after the podcast dropped and the clip went viral, Obama posted a clarification on Instagram. He wrote, quote, "I was trying to stick with the spirits of the speed round, but since it's gotten attention, let me clarify. Statistically, the universe is so vast that the odds are good there's life out there. But the distances between solar systems are so great that the chances we've been visited by aliens is low. And I saw no evidence during my presidency that extraterrestrials have made contact with us, really." So here's my question. Why issue that statement at all? If it was just a light-hearted joke and a lightning round, why take the time to publicly walk it back? Former presidents say things in interviews all the time. They don't typically go on social media the next day to clarify a casual answer. Was there pressure from somewhere? Did he feel like he crossed a line? Is there a stigma even for former presidents when it comes to this topic? Because the fact that he felt the need to correct the course suggests that those words that he shared, they were real, and they carried more weight than he intended, or maybe more weight than someone wanted them to carry.
Let's bring into the conversation. Always enjoy speaking with Nick Pope, who's the former Ministry of Defence official. He ran the MOD's division investigating UFO sightings in the 1990s. Starting with your previous work, Nick Pope, thank you for joining us. You never found any in the 1990s?
Sadly, no, but we did certainly have some interesting cases. I mean, most of these things were misidentifications, a few hoaxes, aircraft lights, weather balloons, satellites, that sort of thing. But around 5% defied conventional explanation. And we often saw, for example, pilots encountering these things simultaneously tracked on radar, speeds, maneuvers, and acceleration way beyond the cutting edge of our own aerospace tech. So we didn't rule out the extraterrestrial hypothesis for some of this, and in a sense we couldn't.
It's interesting you said about pilots there. I don't know if you heard the clip of Donald Trump talking about it, where he was citing people who obviously see vastly different sort of landscapes and things than I do and most people do, and that they were seeing things they struggled to explain. And so when it's anecdotal experience like that from very trustworthy people, it's difficult to have a sort of argument with, isn't it?
It very much so, particularly when it's corroborated not just by radar evidence, but nowadays by forward-looking infrared cameras that are mounted on some of these military jets that have been involved in these encounters, and indeed satellite data, although most of that, in fact all of that I believe, is still classified. But I know that a number of pilots have gone in to brief President Trump about this. And this is just part of a wider engagement with the US government is having on this subject at the moment. Everything from hearings in Congress to UFO provisions in the annual defense bill.
Talk us through Area 51, because this is obviously much spoken about. It's this area in Nevada, isn't it, where it's said that this sort of top secret and that's where the aliens are kept. What is the sort of conspiracy or the thoughts behind that among some?
Well, Area 51 absolutely exists, 100%. It's where the United States developed and flew some of the iconic aerospace platforms, the SR-71 Blackbird, the U-2 spy plane, more recently stealth fighters, stealth bombers, and nowadays things you won't see for 20 years. conspiracy theorists say it goes further than that, and there's a sort of, story within a story, so to speak, and that this is where crashed UFOs from places like Roswell, where it's alleged something came down in 47, are being reverse engineered as scientists and engineers try and figure out what these things are and whether we can build them ourselves. I don't know whether that's true or not, but it's a long-held belief in many parts of the community.
If we focus on President Obama's comments, or the initial comments, or even what he said subsequently, what do you make of it, what he's had to say?
It was really interesting. And in fact, the follow-up comment was much more interesting, I thought, than the original. The original, of course, as you played, the question was, are they real? And he said, they're real. And that, of course, started a sort of media firestorm. Now, presidents do these sorts of interviews all the time. Quick fire questions. They're used to fielding inquiries from heavy hitting A-listers when it comes to broadcasting. So it was very unusual, I thought, that a former two-term president of the United States felt the need to circle back on something he said on a YouTube podcast and say, oh, by the way, when I said they're real, all I was really meaning was that with the vastness of the universe, we're probably not alone. And that kind of got me a little bit suspicious. It's almost like he knew or was told that he'd said too much and hey, come on, walk this back.
You wonder if someone said something to him and said, come on, you know the drill. Maybe clarify a little bit.
Well, I think every incoming president must get a briefing on this. And in fact, through interviews, we know it's pretty much the first question they ask anyway.
Bill Clinton famously said, didn't he, that he was one of the first things he looked at and then realised he couldn't find anything.
Yeah, he said when Clinton got in, he said, I wanted to know two things: who killed JFK and where are the aliens?
Yeah.
So every president either gets a brief or asks for a brief, and I'm sure Obama was no exception, and I'm sure Trump is no exception. So perhaps there's a little, if there is a smoking gun here, perhaps there's a little bit of a dogfight going on, and perhaps the current administration has said, hey, wind your neck in, this is for the sitting president to announce, not a former president.
Could I ask you the $1 million question? Do you think aliens are real?
Well, now I'm going to fall into the kind of trap of answering like Obama. Aliens out there, 100%. Aliens visiting us down here, I don't know, 50-50. I mean, I think it's a coin toss sometimes. Some of the things I've seen, some of the things I've heard, in some of these testimonies before Congress, and that's setting aside the fact that some of the most juicy stuff, of course, has been done in classified briefings to Congress that nobody's heard about except those people in the room.
So apparently we've got a huge announcement from Trump thanks to my interview with Barack Obama just a few days ago. Trump just posted on Truth Social, quote, based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, and unidentified flying objects, UFOs, and any and all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. God bless America. Let me just say that I dealt with God knows how many people telling me that I made a generational fumble, massive mistake by not asking Obama a follow-up to this question. Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it?
Area 51?
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy and they hid it from the President of the United States.
But here's the reality. Had I asked Obama the follow-up question, he would have said what he said in his clarification, which is that he believes aliens are real by virtue of the sheer size of the solar system, but hasn't seen them, and there's no evidence that the U.S. government has either. And then that would have been it, asked and answered. The fact that I didn't ask a follow-up meant that it was an open question, which meant that the discourse could truly thrive in that vacuum of a clear answer. And now, we're going to see the truth about aliens and UAPs and UFOs expressly because I didn't ask ask a follow-up, and this thing took on a life of its own. So am I going to take credit for being responsible for people knowing the truth about aliens and UFOs and UAPs? With no modesty at all, yes, I am. And this announcement came in the aftermath of Trump saying this just this morning when asked about the same topic.
Something that got a lot of attention this week. Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. You know?
So aliens are real?
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. He made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information. No, I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. A lot of people do. A lot of people believe it. Do you believe it, Peter?
Well, the president can declassify anything that he wants to, so if you want to make an announcement.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
We know illegal aliens are real.
Yeah, illegal. Only illegals.
Oh, what have I done? Okay, let me just say, if my speed round question in the 44th minute of a 47-minute episode results in a prosecution attempt against President Barack Obama, I'm not sure how I continue on after that. Now, in terms of Trump's response, he says that Obama revealed classified information. What Obama actually revealed was his belief that aliens are real, but that he has no tangible information to back that up, that he hasn't seen them, and that if they were here, it would be a conspiracy so vast that even the President of the United States wouldn't know about it. That's his words. In other words, Obama has plausible deniability based on what he said. But when Trump says that Obama revealed classified information, he is in effect saying that they are real and that it's classified and that Obama exposed it. In other words, Obama didn't actually reveal anything, but Trump inadvertently revealed the thing that he blames Obama for revealing. And that's a point, by the way, that even Fox News picked up on.
So at least one Hill Republican tonight is telling me that he is reading this as the president all but confirming what Barack Obama said, that aliens are indeed real. So we followed up with the White House here. We asked them several questions. We wanted to know what part of Barack Obama's comments did the president feel were classified? Was it the part where he says that he believes in aliens, or was it the part that they were not in Area 51? They were also asked if the DOJ was going to look into these comments, perhaps because they were classified. The White House told us there's nothing to add to the president's comments tonight. Brett, all of this comes as the president's daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, told a podcast this week that the president has a speech prepared about extraterrestrial life that he will give at the right time. Listen.
We've kind of asked my father-in-law about this. We all want to know about the UFOs, or we all want to know what's going on. And he played a little coy with us. I have just heard kind of around that I think he's actually said, I think my father-in-law's actually said it, that there is some speech that he has that I guess at the right time, and I don't know when the right time is, he's going to break out and talk about, and it has to do with maybe some sort of extraterrestrial life.
And Brett, the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, you'll remember this week, was asked about Laura Trump's comments, and she said, a speech on aliens would be news to me, but we are expecting more reaction from the Hill in the coming hours and days. Brett.